Hello everybody, welcome back to Movement Monastery. I'm Francesco and today we're going to learn how to do the Kong vault. Okay, now with all of these tutorials involving parkour, at the end of the tutorial I have all these strengthening drills you can do. So if these progressions don't work for you and you're finding it's a hard time, you don't have the strength to do it or can't do it, I want you to look at those drills at the end of the video to help you along your way, alright? Without further ado, let's get to the Kong vault. You want to make sure the object you're getting on top of is about knee to hip height. That is the best height for you to be working with as a beginner in order to progress this onto the full skill. First thing you're going to have to do is place both your hands on top of the object and then try to hop your feet up onto the object when pulling your hands off. You can see this in the video how I'm doing it. It takes a lot of upper body strength and pushing ability to be able to get your feet on top of the box. Now it's very important that your feet land after the hands push off, alright? So you want to have a powerful push through the hands, so you don't want your hands to still be there as your feet come down. You have to make sure that you're pushing off your hands and getting your feet underneath, otherwise when you go for the full skill you're going to end up clipping your feet and falling forward. Alright, so very important safety tip, you want your feet to land after your hands push off. And again, if you're unable to emulate this like I showed earlier, then make sure to check out those strengthening drills at the end of the tutorial. The next progression, you want to be able to push off your hands and get your feet up on top of the object you're vaulting on, but now you want to try and surpass your hands. You want to try and get farther along the box, and you want to be able to do this while pushing off both your hands at the same time. If one of your hands is pushing off before the other, it means that you're transferring weight to one side. You don't know how to push off your hands properly yet. Make sure that both your hands are pushing off at the same time and you're not leaning to one side. A common problem with this is people aren't getting their hips up high enough in order to give clearance for their legs to come in. So I oftentimes recommend that you think about trying to hit something with your hips that's above you. Imagine when you push off your hands and hop your feet up that you're trying to hit some kind of target above your hips and get your hips up really high. So you still have to maintain a forward traveling motion while getting your hips up behind you. When you're doing the Kong man at first, it's a really good habit to get your shoulders down to about the same height as the thing you're pushing off with your hand. This is going to help you to jump higher and load up your arms correctly. If you start up too high above, it can cause like a tripping mechanism and make it a lot harder for you to be able to push off your arms. Now we're going to take the things we just learned and progress to a more narrow top or a wall-like structure, and that's why I have the trapezoid over here to demonstrate. Okay, so what you're going to see here is that I do the Kong mount like I did earlier, and that works out fine. I'm still leaning forward, my feet are underneath me. When I land on top, my hands are off the box. But now when you progress to the next thing, because there's not that much room on top of this, you want to try and land with half your foot on the box, half your foot off. So you're going to be rolling through your heels, and you'll see what I mean by that. My heels are going to land first, and I roll through my arch, and then I step off the front of the box. This is going to make sure that you're still leaning forward when you're going through the skill, and that you're not going to lean backward and possibly scratch your back as you come off the object. So make sure to pay attention to that. And then finally, your next goal is to try and think about going even farther forward, getting a strong lean, getting your hips up, and as you travel forward, pushing hard off your arms. Remember, we're not trying to swing our legs through our arms, we're trying to push off with our hands to give ourselves height, and then the leaning forward and tucking your legs up makes you travel forward as well. If you're just swinging your legs through, even though you could do a vault that way, you're more likely to clip your legs and trip in the process. So make sure that you're pushing off with both your hands, you're getting height, you're leaning forward, and you're not coming out of the skill leaning backward. Now what you're going to see here is I'm going to take about 3 steps backward and then have one leg forward in front of the other, so in a kind of a lunging like stance. From there, I'm going to take a small jump low to the ground, a small jump forward, and put my feet together about 2 to 3 feet away from the bottom of the box. Get down low, you lean forward, you push off your hands, your hips are high, and you travel over. If you have to think about any of that stuff while you're doing this momentum-based thing, then it's time for you to go back and just work the standing Kong. Because that means that you don't have enough muscle memory of the skill doing it standing for you to be able to work on something involving momentum. You want to be able to do that automatically. After you've gotten the hang of the punch takeoff, pushing off 2 feet, we can start working towards split step. But this one's probably going to take a while, and it's really hard for people at first. Let's look at some demonstrations. Now, I'll be explaining this with the left-right setup. Simply reverse the directions in your head if you're going to be going off the opposite leg. Now, what you saw me do here is I took about 3 to 4 steps backward. From there, I already put myself in the split step takeoff, so I'm going to have my right foot in front of my left. And then from there, I take a step forward with my left foot, and then I dip down into my right foot step. I'm essentially doing what I did earlier with the punch takeoff, only instead I'm going into my split stance takeoff position. Now you notice I'm dipping down, my arms are back, all right? I'm prepping everything exactly the same way, I'm just in a split stance takeoff. When you're first doing this, start with a small split step. Don't do a really big one at first, it's too awkward, you're probably gonna mess it up. Start with a much smaller one, so if your feet were at the same place, when you did the punch, you're gonna have a slightly off step position like that. And this will teach you how to rock through the foot from one to the other, so that way you have an easier takeoff and transition into the next one. And then you'll be able to push that farther and farther and farther. What is going on with the split step takeoff? Essentially what's happening is you're increasing the surface area of takeoff. You're making yourself have a more powerful takeoff because a couple of things happen. One, you're able to keep momentum forward a lot easier when you do a split step takeoff because you're able to run into the skill more. When you do a punch takeoff, though you can get some good distance with it, it tends to pop you up more than it does to help you travel forward. The other thing is you're actually creating a bigger step because of that. Now, when I showed you earlier, right, one foot being in front of the other, when you do a bigger step, you're actually creating a bigger footprint. Think of it as taking off with one giant foot, whereas one foot's in front, one foot's in the back. That creates a giant foot, a bigger place for you to take off from. When you're doing this one, the goal really is just to start small and slowly build up over time. You're doing everything the same way you would do for a normal Kong. For the most part, just focus on doing the Kong as you practiced it earlier, off of 2 feet. All right, now let's talk about what your hands are doing, all right? I saved this for last because really, if you're able to do most of the things I showed you already, the hands are going to be the last things you add into the skill itself. So a couple of things will happen as you progress through the skill and get better at it. One of them is you will start to reach for the farther edge based on how wide the top is of the thing you're vaulting off of. If it's really small, obviously it's not going to matter too much, but you might actually start to reach over the end of the box itself, of the vault itself, to give yourself a little bit of a pull as you go over. And that can be quite useful because it allows you to push and flick off your fingers a little bit more as you go over the object. But for longer objects you can't do that with, that's not going to be the case at all. All right, everybody, if you're having a hard time with the Kong vault, please make sure to stay tuned. I have some strengthening drills for you to do at the end of this tutorial. Other than that, please make sure to subscribe, like, and you all have a great day. What I'm going to show you right now are some prerequisites and strength for you to be able to do this skill. So first one is to be able to do shoulder or scapular push-ups, which means with your elbows straight, you should be able to let your shoulder blades come together and then push back out through. Shoulder blades together, come back through. The next one would be from the palms, being able to push through the hands and the fingers and feel that your wrists are lifting off the ground and your fingers are staying there and then following through to the fingers. So palms, fingers, fingers, palms. Palms, fingers, fingers, palms. Next one's going to be a push-up and the elbows need to track backward. So from here, I should be able to do my push-up, my elbows should be able to track backward behind me and back up again. The only reason I'm not saying that you can't go outward, so this is elbows to the side and back up. The reason why we don't want this, okay, is because it's going to put you into a wider position and therefore shortening the distance between you and the wall or whatever you're Konging over, and that's going to make it more likely for you to clip. So having them closer in will give you more distance between you and the floor. The next one is a hopping motion. So from the push-up position, you're going to rock back into this pounce position, and then when you hop forward and push through your legs, you're going to hop your feet to where your hands were. So you have to push off of your hands a little bit and then get your feet underneath you, but it's more about leaning forward. One more time. From here, push-up position, pounce position, and up and through. Now you notice I pushed off my hands, I leaned forward, my hips went up. The next one's more like a burpee, only it's parkour style. From the resting position down here, you're going to press up quickly. You're going to go through a bit of an arch, a tiny bit of an arch, then you're going to do a hip lift, so arch and then hip lift, and then you're going to hop your feet forward just like I showed before. 1, 2, 3, and you pop forward. And again. 1, 2, 3.
The more you can surpass your hands, the more likely you're going to have a successful Kong. It's also crucial that you're able to land standing up and that you're not falling backward afterward. That would actually make you land back on the thing you just vaulted over. So really make sure that you're leaning forward, that you're traveling forward, and that you're landing all the way into the ball of foot afterward. Finally, this is a bit of an overkill, a tuck plunge. So being able to push through both arms, lift your knees off the ground, and hold your weight in your hands. Now, why do I say that? Because technically, a Kong is a tuck plunge. It's just you traveling forward in the tuck plunge position. It's because you have a strong lean forward, and it allows you to get your hips up and legs underneath. Now, in my opinion, the tuck plunge is a bit of an overkill when it comes to learning the Kong, but it's a great prerequisite to make sure you can tell yourself, hey, I have this strength, hey, I know how to lean forward, I know how to tuck my legs up. It really covers all the areas of strength that we need to be able to do in order to do the Konging part of the Kong vault. So those are my prerequisites. Let's go over them one more time. Shoulder blade push-ups, wrist push-ups, do the fingers as well, tricep, elbows going back, push up here, okay, pounce position, hop forward, resting position, arch, hip drive, resting position, arch, hip drive, feet in, and then the tuck plunge position.
Okay everybody, if you've been enjoying these tutorials, make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you comment and like. Anything along those kind of lines is going to help me create more of these videos. It lets me know that you're interested in this stuff and want me to keep on making it. Other than that, please make sure to subscribe, like, and you all have a great day.